Hi friends, welcome to Women, Wisdom, and Woo. I'm Michelle, and I'm here with Emma.
Hi.
And I'm Lynn, aka Auntie. Welcome to our podcast.
Women, Wisdom, and Woo. We will be available on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. Coming soon. Okay, so we always start each episode with a card pull. And based on the mood of us of late, I decided to pull from my deck called Fearless. It's kind of the aura and the sense that we have around us lately as women, that we need to be fearless and we need to fight like a girl. And part of fighting like a girl is using your intuition. And Emma's motioning to me so I don't forget, and I give credit where credit is due. They're Oracle cards by Angie Sullins. But the theme is Fearless, Fight Like a Girl, and I pulled a card for us, and we're just going to run with it and see where it takes us. So the card I pulled is card number 32, The Rooted Fight. Now is the time to tend to your roots. Dig deep in your soul's soil and know your worth. Let the blessings come to you by cultivating receptivity rather than solving, caregiving, rescuing, or fixing. Tree Mother doesn't run around the meadow offering shade to anyone who passes through. Nor does she seek out the squirrels or birds to shelter. She doesn't conjure rain or sun to bless her. She simply is, allowing all nature to come to her. Do the work to discover your inherent worthiness. Root down deep into this. This will give you the confidence to know that what passes by you is not for you. If the door doesn't open, it's not your door. What is for you will come to you simply by the power of your vibration. It is a rule of nature, the law of attraction. This is rooted, grounded receptivity at its finest. The rooted flight. That's a pretty deep card, people. It's a little apropos for some of the things that some of us are going through. So,
should we air quote some of us?
Some of us is definitely an air quote. But one of us may be going through it. The other two are rallying around, because that's what women do best. We rally around each other when we're needed. And we're there on the spot for whatever anybody needs. It's one of those drop the keys, I'm here for you. And that's kind of where we are right now.
That's kind of what we did today.
That's kind of what we did today.
But we were also discussing perspective and opinion.
Opinions. That's how this whole thing started,
That is how this whole thing started. So there's different... I think there's a difference between perspective and opinion. What do you think, Emma?
I was asking Auntie earlier today to elaborate on her opinion on the difference between perspective and opinion, because in my head, I kind of see them both as the same type of thing. Like, you know, your perspective is your opinion. If there is a door and there's something on the other side of it, one person could say, I see a candle. The other person could say, no, that's a pole, you know, and it's just the perspective of what it is. And I was like, well, both of those are opinions, you know. Nobody could see what's really on the other side of the door. It's not a proven fact, and a perspective isn't a proven fact, and an opinion isn't a proven fact. And then you came on with what were you saying?
I think what I said was, well, I see something this way. That's perspective. I can't think of a good example. And an opinion to me is just that. Well, I think there might be, my opinion is there's a candle on the other side of the door. My opinion is there might be a pole on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
It's not something you see, you're just voicing your opinion. But perspective to me is, this is what I see. And I'm trying to think of a good example. That's where I'm kind of lost of a good example of you know.
You had one earlier.
We did have one earlier, and I can't remember what it was. And of course the microphone wasn't on.
Of course.
We had a very interesting day today, in which we wish the microphone was on, and because there are factors in it
that are private and confidential right now.
Right. We didn't put the mic on, but we were doing some light investigations.
Some road work. Women, Wisdom, and Woo was on the road.
It was, yes.
Do we want to say renaissance? Renaissance? How do you say that? Renaissance?
No, reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance.
We were on the road doing some reconnaissance.
We were looking
yes.
for some
We might have
facts.
been scheming a little bit. We might have been
trying to analyze a perspective and bring truth to it. And we had gotten opinions and perspectives and
From the outside.
and we were trying to do our own intuitive search on what was really what were the underlying factors. We were just women being women.
We were just investigating.
Yes, we were women being women. It's what we do best, and it's what we do best for each other when one of us is hurting and needs help.
And at some point we may be able to go into more detail right now, but right now things are not quite ready to be aired
Explained, right.
and
Yes.
explained.
Yes.
So just
Stay
women.
tuned for that.
Yes.
So
So
that would be a very captivating episode.
It will be.
It was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of giggling for sure, and that's what women
And a
do.
lot of emotion.
And a lot
Yes.
of emotion. So, that being said, I think from that card, can we go someplace with that card about digging deep and having our roots and letting things come to us versus digging and searching? And I think that's why you can't see our faces right now, but all of our eyebrows went up when we read that card, because it was clarification of what we were doing. When you go on reconnaissance, you're digging and you're looking for outside factors to help you get to an answer that you need. And the card was pretty much saying, stop trying to fix, stop trying to rescue, come in and find your own intuition, find your own answers, understand your own worthiness, and it'll come quicker than having to do all that outside work. So.
I think women are very prone to analyzing a situation, and somebody told me this once. I think it actually might have been you, Auntie, or you told Mom told me. That's usually how
really?
the
Is
chain
that the way it
goes.
works?
Yeah,
Or vice versa.
it depends on the day, but yeah, something in the sense of men have kind of a box-like picture of
They compartmentalize.
how something is. Like, if, I don't know, let's give an example. Like, what's a good example? Like, if somebody said you were out at 11 p.m., a boy might think, okay, you were out with so-and-so. And that's it, period, end of sentence. And then they have that thought, they keep that thought, and then they think that thought. And a girl might be like, okay, you were out with so-and-so, how did you get there? Why did you go? Where did you go to get there? And they kind of spiral, form like roots around the box of this could be A, this could be B, this could be C. And I think one of us, speaking, for a friend, happened to overanalyze a situation, and I had my mom and my aunt kind of telling me, you might think this way, you might think that way, but at the end of the day, overanalyzing something isn't going to paint a better picture for yourself. It's not going to change anything, right? And I think, what was the card kind of saying? Just like letting it go and letting whatever you think be that thought. I think men kind of have it right in some aspect of
Some men.
right. It could be just that. She was out with her friend, period. And then a girl takes it to another level, saying she was out with a friend and another friend, or they were doing this, or they were going here, they were together, not together, da-da-da. And I think it's not a flaw that girls can go into that good detail, because they make great detectives and all that good stuff, but I think it's simpler that a man just has
The ability to close the door and
right
be done with
and
it.
not go into a million different perspectives, kind of thing.
It is. It makes their life much easier.
Right.
We do tend to
And-
overanalyze.
Right.
But we overanalyze because of the emotion in it. Men can close the door without the emotion, and then they process in more of an intellectual way, where we are in the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And Emma, you asked, what does the card say? And I think it's interesting that the analysis you're doing of women is right, that we have lots of different analysis. So when you were doing that, like, the picture in my head is our brain and all these wires coming out of our brain.
Like roots
Literally.
is what I was saying.
And that's exactly what the card is saying. And it's saying root down deep into this. So
spiral out of it.
yes,
Yeah.
let your roots for this problem solve from I'm going to, of course, throw spirit in it, but take it from spirit downward and root yourself in your own truth, your own facts, your own worthiness. That's all you need. All these underlying opinions, perspectives, analysis isn't going to help you answer the problem when you root down deep into yourself. So take those wires in your head that are like, because when our women's wires go, they can go for miles. We did a 2-hour road trip, I think.
To find one spot.
Yes, to find one spot, but damn was it fun. But anyway, our roots were all over the place, and then we ended up seeing Auntie's where she used to live in her condo, and we saw history, and that's where women's brains can go. We can be wired where our wires and our channels in our brains are going like a million different directions, but the card's saying don't. Bring your roots, bring the analysis, bring your brain and all the overthinking it's doing back into your center and root into yourself to find your own self-worth.
Right, you have to cut the wires, and I think having that one perspective, that not that men only have one perspective. Of course, men can go into their own spirals and their own insecurities and, let that form wires in itself. But the ability that I think men have to be like, okay, it happened like this or it didn't, and that's that. And just put a period at the end of that sentence is profound. I think that that's very much what women should get better at, to say the least, and to...
Yes and no, though, because I think by men doing that, they're closing themselves off from the emotion. And if you close yourself off from emotion, there's times you're closing yourself off from good emotion too. So the answer has to be somewhere in the middle, the balance. And that's the reason for a male and female. We balance when the relationship is right and when it's secure. I'm going to start using trauma terms. When you have a secure attachment with your partner and there's trust there and there's foundation, then essentially you balance each other out. As the woman starts to go off in all her wires and they're, leaking from her brain, the man can be like, hey, come back here, let's compartmentalize. But when the man's shutting the door on all the emotion and the vulnerability that is needed to heal the relationship and make it continue and prosper,
the woman can help add wires to the man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of them do need that, because they do that. But there are men who also go a little crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in
Add
certain
their own
situations.
wires.
And add their own wires, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. They have to find the balance too.
Yeah. It's individuality. There's
It
no
is
getting away from it.
individual.
But
Is
there's
that a scientific fact that men have...
Compartmentalize?
Yeah.
yes.
I think it is. I'm not a doctor or any psychologist or anything, but I've heard that. There are a lot of comedians that get into that, but from what I understand, there is some truth about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think depending on the person too, because I know men that do overthink even more than me, and they add wires to my own
Your own
25
wires.
million
Yeah.
wires, right? And then some men are like, no, just A, B, C, and shut the door.
Yeah.
That's it. So I think it also does depend on the person.
It's individuality, it's background, it's upbringing, it's childhood, it's individual, it's all of the things that make everybody unique that factor into the different aspects of it. But there's definitely, I think, and I like Auntie said, I'm not a doctor and I can't quote a scientist who says this, but it is, you're always hearing men are more compartmentalized and women are more
Right.
emotional.
And if anybody has any information on that, is it a proven fact?
Yeah.
Or is it something that, comedians just talk about and we all talk about? Or, what is that? I think I will try to look it up later and see what I can find.
Yeah.
But we would certainly appreciate everybody else's opinion and perspective on it.
But now the big question of the day is, how do we cut those wires?
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. I think that's half the battle,
It is.
I don't think, number one, inherently that they can be cut. I think they're part of being a woman, but I think that there's
Part of being...
Well,
female.
wires to the situation.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
like
you know,
you said, it could be men too. We
Yes,
don't know.
and the situation, whatever it
Oh,
may be,
okay.
has to come to an end
Yeah.
at some point, or move on
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
You have
So,
to be able to find that period
once
at the
you-
end
right.
of the sentence.
And that's
Yeah.
that's everybody else's.
It's a balance.
It is
You
a
have
balance.
to teach yourself, when you see yourself going over the deep end and your wires are extending out too far, you have to reel yourself in. What kind of tools do you have for reeling yourself in? What kind of
What kind of tools are there to help you do that?
Well, I think one of the things we were talking about this before the podcast started, Auntie's famous word, and it's something she's taught me and now I'm passing on to Emma, is process. You have to process the information, and to process some of the information, especially if it's emotional, it's hard. So how do you process that information without interjecting all the emotion and then letting your wires go haywire, so to speak, okay? But I think one of the things that we talked about, it's intuition, like how did your intuition come? Your intuition comes when you're rooted deep into yourself and you're quiet enough to hear yourself and hear your own advice for yourself. If you're rooted deep, if your wires are all over the place in emotion, then you're not rooted in yourself, you're not quieting yourself, and you're not going to hear your own intuition about it. Dig deep. The answers are in your roots. And I think the other aspect of it is another thing that I always compliment Auntie on, and because if you haven't figured out, I'm kind of the mouth of the group here. The very verbose is the pause. The pause is always important in the processing, because otherwise you can kind of go off the deep end in your analysis. You have to pause and process and, put your roots in deep and listen to your own voice.
One thing too that I've always found that helps me is like, I'm a very visual learner, so when I see something in front of me and I can write it down myself and work through it myself, I feel a lot better. So sometimes when my wires are going all over the place, I think it's not a terrible idea to write out all the wires and write out where your brain is in the moment, because I don't know if compartmentalize is the right word, but it pulls everything together, and it makes you see like, hey, I'm not going crazy, I'm just overthinking and overanalyzing, and I have 15 different ways this could have played out in my head. However, it's all written down in front of me. It's all just an opinion and a perspective, and regardless of opinions and perspectives, you have to choose yourself and just say, start erasing each opinion and start moving it and putting positivity next to where the old negative opinion is, like going from they were out last night to they might have been, but I know I'll be okay either way, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I liked the way you said that, Emma.
Yeah.
As you sit down and you're looking at those thoughts in a central place,
It makes more sense.
Yes.
Like if you see it, I don't know, like a lot of people are visual learners, and if you see everything that's in your brain, it doesn't seem like so much anymore. You know, it like...
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it kind of...
If you're writing something, you're actually seeing what's in your brain.
Oh, I like that.
Makes
too,
sense.
Emma.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're saying, as you're looking at, you're erasing the things that don't fit you. Like,
right.
And so you're honing in on what is your own truth. And quieting the wires and rooting deep in yourself.
Yeah. I like to journal not only the wires, but like the emotions behind it and the thought process, and having that all come together, good, bad, and medium, and having everything in front of me laid out. My thoughts don't feel as overwhelming as letting, the wires take over your entire thought process.
So in essence, you're saying by journaling, you're analyzing all your emotions and facing them.
Yeah.
Facing them is a big thing. It really is. You analyze your emotions, you face them, and they're not as scary as you anticipated them to be. You just don't make them out to be as bad as they are in your head.
Right.
So
you kind of retract the wires a little bit.
And that's a help. I tend to...
You journal, Auntie?
I don't really journal. I've struggled with that. I've tried to. I can't seem to accomplish it. I do my best thinking in the shower. I think we've had that discussion too. Yeah. We all kind of think great in the shower, especially the mornings, right? How many Saturday morning
phone calls
have we had? Hours of phone calls.
In the shower?
No. It almost sounded that way, didn't it?
I'm just kidding.
No, not in the
usually
shower.
we hang up 3 hours later saying, I have to go take a shower. It's been 3 hours.
Although, we might accomplish more if we actually had our phones in the shower and we just shout back and forth.
You guys probably getting sweaty. You're like, okay, this is enough talk. I got to go back in the shower now. I'll call you with my after shower thoughts. I get it.
My after shower thoughts, I like that.
Yeah.
And we start again. That's so true.
So, but yeah, I tend to be able to somehow, I can't even explain how I do it. I guess I do it more naturally. I just kind of, and it'll hit me in the morning shower or night shower, but mostly mornings. oh, that's what I have to do, or that. And I guess that's my way of journaling, is actually just all in my head. So, Michelle, I know you do some journaling quite often from what I remember.
No, I am a writer by nature, but
Yes,
mostly
you are.
if there's a problem and there's this many wires of my brain going haywire, I don't have to journal, I just have you two. And then we talk it out, either one of you, and I start picking your brain and make your wires go
Yeah.
haywire with mine.
And then we call each other to debrief
Yes.
after that. Yeah. Mom was going real crazy today, huh?
Yeah,
Did you hear this? Did you hear that?
You got that call too.
Yeah.
And like you two haven't been on the other side of it.
Yes, we
please.
have.
Agreed.
Anyway, so as you can figure out, we process the best together. Women, Wisdom, and Woo, the podcast. We've had quite an adventure today. Some of it on the road again. And we need some cocktails. So bye for now, people.
Till next time.
We're out.